Welcome to the Walnuts production video, which provides an overview of growing, harvesting, and post-harvesting practices. There are some common practices that many large commercial growers use when producing walnuts. And though there are variations in these practices, having an understanding of the most common methods used will be helpful when carrying out regulatory activities. After viewing this short video, you will be able to list several varieties of commercially produced walnuts, list the world's top walnut producing regions, and identify the most common farming practices used in the production of walnuts. Most commercially cultivated types of walnuts found in the U.S. are English walnuts. There are many cultivars or varieties of English walnuts that are commercially grown, including Chandler, Hartley, Howard, Tulare, Sayre, and Vina varieties. Each variety has its own unique characteristics, and growers select which variety is best for their market. Less commonly cultivated walnut types include the black walnut and the California black walnut. China is the largest producer of walnuts in the world, producing nearly half of the global walnut supply. The United States is the second largest producer of walnuts, accounting for approximately 1/3 of the total world production. Domestically, California is the nation's #1 walnut producer, accounting for nearly all walnuts produced in the U.S. As with other tree nuts, most California walnuts are produced in the San Joaquin and Sacramento Valley regions. However, some are also grown in the Coastal Valley regions and Sierra foothills. California has approximately 4,900 walnut growers that produce nearly 500,000 tons of walnuts each year. English walnuts do best in a moderate climate and do not tolerate low temperatures well. Early frosts in the fall and severe freezes in the winter can do significant damage to walnut orchards. Walnuts grow best in well-drained, fertile soils. When preparing to plant a new orchard, growers cultivate the soil to loosen clods and grade the orchard. It is common practice to use an attachment to dig deep down and break up any hardpan below the soil's surface, to help newly planted trees establish a deep root system. Walnut trees need at least 5 feet of permeable soil. Specialized equipment is used to form raised beds or individual mounds that trees will be planted on. Irrigation lines are installed. Walnut trees start as grafted transplants. These grafts are usually an English walnut variety that has been started on a different rootstock system, such as California black walnut, which is hardier and more resistant to pest infestations. Rootstock systems are usually selected based on the specific local conditions of the orchard. Once planted, it takes 5 to 7 years for a walnut tree to begin producing nuts that can be harvested. The average lifespan of a walnut orchard in California is about 35 years. Blossoms emerge in the early spring. Walnut trees can be efficiently pollinated by wind, unlike other nut and fruit trees that require honeybee pollination. The nuts will grow and develop for approximately 4 months through the summer. Older orchards in California may be irrigated using flood irrigation. Most of the new orchards, however, use drip or sprinkler irrigation systems. These systems allow for greater conservation of water and better control of runoff. The frequency of water application during the growing season depends on the age of the orchard, the levels of precipitation in the region, and other weather conditions. Growers gauge the need for various fertilizers through soil and leaf analysis throughout the year. The age of the orchard may also help determine what fertilizers are needed for the growing trees. Fertilizers are typically applied to the root zone when the tree is able to use it efficiently. Fertilization of trees may be done in the winter while the trees lay dormant, or in the late spring after the foliage of the tree has developed and the fruit is beginning to grow. Common elements applied to walnut orchards include nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium in amounts that are determined by element availability in the soil. Growers employ many techniques to protect their orchards from weeds, disease, and pests. Orchards are tended all year round to ensure the health of the trees. Weeds are removed, trees are pruned and sprayed to help manage pests and disease that can damage trees and affect crops. Young trees may also be susceptible to damage by rodents, so growers may install shields or paint to help protect the growing trees. Walnuts are harvested starting around mid-September. The harvest season usually continues through November. Walnuts are ready to harvest when the green hulls begin to split and nuts naturally drop from the trees. A mechanical shaker is brought in to vigorously shake each tree, dropping thousands of walnuts to the ground. Walnut harvesting crews then employ a specialized sweeper that collects the downed nuts into windrows. A harvester picks the walnuts up from the ground and transfers them into a waiting trailer. From the orchard, the walnuts are delivered to an operation. Here, the outer green husk is removed with wet scrubbers. The in-shell nuts are transferred to a dryer for up to 24 hours, where most of the moisture is removed. This drying step helps to prevent deterioration of the nut and protects its quality during storage. Depending on market demand, walnuts may need to be stored before they are processed and packaged. This can be done once the walnuts are clean and dry. Walnuts can be stacked in large plastic bins or stored in environmentally controlled silos. The product is kept in dark storage and held at 41 degrees Fahrenheit. After drying, walnuts destined for sale as in-shell nuts are then sized according to the USDA standards and prepped to be packaged for market. To prepare shelled walnuts, the kernels are mechanically removed from shells. Air is used to separate kernels from the broken shells. Walnut kernels are then screened using electronic color graders and sorters. As a final step before packaging, walnut kernels are hand sorted according to USDA size, grade, and color standards. This ensures production of a clean, well-dried product that meets specific size and color standards. The agricultural practices depicted in this video are common on most large commercial farms like those found in California. There are undoubtedly variations in these practices depending on the region, operation size, and individual grower preferences. This is especially true of farms outside of the U.S. Having a basic understanding of the way walnuts are grown, harvested, sorted, dried, and packed will provide you with the context that you need when completing regulatory inspections or investigations in the field.